Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending another round of our CARM open mic session. I'm Maria, the marketing manager at GHY, and I will be moderating this session today. So we've allocated 30 minutes today for our fourth open mic session, with our fifth and last session for the week happening tomorrow at the same time. The session is dedicated entirely to your questions. It's an opportunity to get answers and learn about the most frequently asked questions GHY has received since the official launch of CARM. So here's how we'll manage the questions this session. First, we encourage attendees to ask questions, ask their questions live. And to do this, you can please use the raise hand feature by navigating to the top of the Teams window to the meeting controls area and select the little hand icon. I'll call on people in the order that the hands were raised. Once I call on you, please turn on your microphone and video to ask your question. Then turn them off again when we've either completed answering your question or after you've asked your question and have nothing further to add. As a special incentive, we're offering a little gift box that includes a GHY Blue Guy for the best asked live question. If you prefer not to speak live, that's okay. You can type in your question into the Q&A discussion area. Access this by navigating to your meetings control area and clicking on the Q&A icon. So we will alternate between live questions and those in the Q&A, making sure to address everyone in turn as best we can. After the session concludes, we will be sending links to access the recording of the session and some other useful resources on CARM to explore. So our speakers today are Al Dewar, GHY's Executive Vice President, and Sarah Marcotte, our CARM and Special Projects Manager. Now let's open the floor with a bit of an intro by Sarah and Al.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Maria, for that introduction. Today, we just want to give you just a couple quick kind of updates or where we're at, and then hopefully from there, that might help even bring in some questions and some discussion between everybody. So we wanted to really start with ensuring that everybody understands the fluidity of the border. CBSA is committed to ensuring that that flow continues, and there has been very minimal delays. Those delays may be due to things that need adjusting, but overall, there has been no scary calls, no people crying, needing help at the border. So that has been the main thing that we've been focused on, or CBSA has, and we are ensuring that our clients' needs are met through that border, through the border, basically. So if you are having issues with CARM, or you're having issues registering, if you're having issues logging back into your system, those don't necessarily affect your release at the border. The main part for CARM is it's an accounting system. So we have to keep in mind that where CARM really affects us is post-release and accounting for your goods and ensuring that we can do that for you in a timely manner as well. We have, Maria has been graciously able to update our CARM site to include an area that provides a little more context as to what is going on right now. What are the main issues that CBSA's system is experiencing, to help give everybody a little clarity as to what we may be seeing and what challenges are out there at this time. So here's a great little presentation there of the CARM system updates.
So I think just to punctuate what Maria had pulled up there, we're working with the Canadian Society of Customs Brokers and other associations, monitoring issues that CBSA is experiencing within the coding of this new system. And there's probably about 5-6 pages of issues of things that aren't working as expected. So CBSA is collaborating with our industry to suggest and tell what each of those things are and the status of where they're at in having to do with being repaired. As Sarah alluded to, the release is not impacted. It's a different system. Shipments are just flowing through the border. But the accounting is impacted. And the accounting means, well, at least you've got your goods. Now it's about paying for them. And so I would suggest that CBSA's got full marks, 100% on release as things flow through based on the transition plan they developed. But when it comes to accounting, they've probably got a fail or maybe a 50%, because as I look at the number of transactions that GHY has been able to confirm and account so that they will appear on your statement, it's probably in the 50% range. We've submitted tens of thousands that have went through without problem because we know it falls outside of all of these reported issues. Issues that, surprisingly enough, provide duty relief to importers. Those maybe haven't been coded as well as we would like to hope. So, but as soon as they fix those duty relief codings, we'll be able to fire more transactions over on your behalf and start seeing that number, that grade increase from maybe 50% to 70, 80%. And they're working as fast as they can. They are collaborating, and in fairness to them, this lift of CARM and why it did take, what was it, 17 days, Sarah? They said it had to deal with 60 billion types of background data elements to make sure that the border not only stayed open, but when adjustments needed to take place in the future, that there could be a connection. So it was a big lift, and the lift hasn't finished. I thought there were some questions coming in already, Maria. Or I did see a hand up, so maybe we should break for.
For sure, we can jump right into it here.
Because this is all about, rather than play by play or just cut and paste and send something as to what challenges exist. This is about opening the mic to hear what questions may exist, assist in solving that, or provide other direction as in a one-on-one type format or a seemingly one-on-one format.
Absolutely. We had a hand up here by Lindsay, but she had
We got another hand.
We've got another one. All right, so we'll go to Debbie, and Lindsay, if you decide to ask your question again, please come on back. But Debbie, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I was wondering if you could tell me what the difference is in a program manager or a business management account. Somebody's requested access to our account, and I don't know the difference because I don't know what access to give them.
That's a great question. There's I think Maria can maybe even pull it up on our website that explains it, but I'll give just a quick kind of synopsis. So the big thing to keep in mind is that main person that you want to have full control of your portal should be your business account manager. They have the ability to approve other employees, approve third-party relationships. So they have that full capability throughout the full portal. Whereas a program account manager it was designed more for potentially if you have possible RMs and you want people to have access to only certain RMs, that program account manager can support in that aspect. So somebody with 3 RMs may have a different program manager for each. It does also limit the capabilities of accepting employees or accepting third parties. So there are some limitations.
But in addition to what Sarah just said, and honestly, Debbie, this continues to confuse me just with CBSA's choice of terminology. You see what Maria has up on the screen there. You've got a business account manager for an employee or based on your particular organization, or program account manager. But then CBSA, in their infinite wisdom, use the same darn term for third-party service providers that are outreaching to seek connection with you. So I think it's possible, but you'd have to clarify, is it a third-party service provider asking for authority, or is it your own organization? Because if it's a third party, then Sarah will respond a little bit more differently.
Yeah, and that's
it's a third party, it's FedEx.
So great thought there. I didn't catch on to that. So between Al and I, we get you.
So go ahead, Sarah.
So just to finish this one, program account manager can grant access to people as well, but only at that level or below. So that kind of explains within your organization. Now, if a third party provider is actually requesting that access, what they're requesting is either your program manager access or your business manager access. So again, your business manager access is going to have a higher access amount than the program, but there are still aspects that no matter what you give that third party to, they're not going to be able to see things like your financials is still within your organization only. So anything really with your financial security is private. anything in regards to your programming name, different things like that, that you have the edit capability will only have visibility to. So there's different aspects there.
So
which
one
one
way I
do I
think I
want to
would,
give FedEx? They're a third party and they're
So-
asking
That's,
for,
yeah,
and just to punctuate that, thank you, Debbie, great question. The business account manager access, you do get to see a little bit more having to do with transactions processed. The program account management access is suitable for Federal Express, or for that matter, if you wanted to not display your information or much information beyond enabling the broker like FedEx, UPS, or even GHY, like enabling them to actually account for things on your behalf. After it's released, they or we have to account. They need at minimum a program account manager access. So if you want them to account for something they've released, you have to at least give them the program account manager access. Maria does have it up on screen. We will make sure that we share with everybody after this session all of the nuances that relate to deciding what level of authority you want to provide. But we hope the answer of it, minimum program account manager in order to account on your behalf, is sufficient for this dialogue. Is that
okay.
fair?
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
yeah. And one of the things that I have a lot of people ask is, when it comes to these FedEx and UPS, what are you expecting them to do? So when you consider what that third party is going to be, consider what do they do on your behalf? So UPS, they probably really clear your goods. Do they do corrections? Do they start getting into those other things? I want to point out as well, when you do that, you're also going to get a box that tells you to check off what type of visibility you want. And the visibility is different than the role. You could provide somebody full business manager access with very limited visibility, and it does limit what they can do again. So that visibility, the one that's always checked off is that broker can see their own transactions. The second one would be that they would also be able to see anything that you do within the portal. So you as the importer. And the third box is they would be able to see what anyone else has done, whether that be a broker, a consultant. So those are also rules that you can consider depending on what you want that third party to do on your behalf.
I have a question, Sarah, on that, because I regularly get confused with it just based on the naming sequence alone. So if Debbie selected them to be a program account manager, Federal Express.
Yep.
Federal Express obviously could account, but could Federal Express later adjust if they made an error on the shipment and it was their own shipment?
As long as it's their own, yes.
Wonderful.
So
okay,
as long as you, because that one box is grayed out immediately. So once you give them that access, you're also allowing them access to the visibility of their own transactions.
Thank
because
you.
they've accounted for them.
Okay. Well, we're just
So-
using them to move our shipment.
Exactly.
I'm not sure why they need access at all.
So on that,
Good question, yeah.
and I may get in trouble if my boss listens to this.
I don't want to hog the whole meeting either, though.
Okay, well, we recommend that you use a single service provider, whoever that
It's a
may
great
be.
question.
Yeah, we recommend to use this because then you'll always have the same type of filing and the same type of control that exists on all of your particular imports. But that's probably a little bit biased and a bit self-serving to say that, but that's what we recommended, and it certainly would have the highest level of compliance because you're dealing with one party. However, having
Okay.
said that, Federal Express, their air shipments, they often include brokerage within the processing, and brokers don't work for free. So it may be necessary to delegate them in instances like that if that's something that you want to achieve. So it really does become a business decision in that regard. Focus on compliance or cost.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to go into CARM and look for that page.
You would go into set up my portal, and that's where you can manage both your employees and your third party. And when you take a look, yeah, you can decide what type of access you feel they should have.
Thanks, Debbie.
Okay,
Other
thank you
questions,
very
Brenda?
much.
Thank you, Debbie, for your question. All right, we'll go over into the chat here because there are some questions that came through the chat. Can you explain the new process for a business number change between brokers?
Definitely. That is a great question, Amanda. So it's still definitely in some trial because there was what was done during testing and what we've now been told we can do live. So still a little bit interesting. But here's the main thing to keep in mind. If a shipment is cleared under one business number and it's later determined that that business number is incorrect, then it needs to be transferred over to the correct business number. But you cannot do it without, so as a broker, I would not be able to do it on your behalf if I wasn't delegated. So both the incorrect and the correct importer must have provided the broker full delegation. If not, then there's another process that's similar where we actually have to withdraw the submission with proof that the correct broker cleared it under that correct importer's account through a voluntary. And it's done only through the portal. It cannot be done through our system. We have to file it through CBSA. And under the new process, we can now do it prior to final payment, but it will go to an officer for review. So we have to prove that it should be under that correct importer's business number.
Is it okay if I ask, so under option 1, if something cleared under my business number, but it was actually supposed to clear under another company's business number and broker, I would need to provide, say, George H. Young access to my CARM portal to make that a change? Unless they submit a voluntary and we withdraw. So right, potentially we could have brokers, any number of brokers accessing our CARM.
Yeah, it would depend on, again, your business model. Typically, you wouldn't want to be approving a broker just for a business number change. So if, just to clarify this scenario, do you use GHY as your broker?
No.
Okay, so let's say in this scenario, you currently have a shipment that has been cleared under your business number and you need to transfer it over to, let's say, GHY's client.
Right.
Okay, so the most commonly used, which has been used in the past as well, would be then you would have your broker or you can yourself reach out to the correct broker and say, hey, can you please have this accounted for so that we can remove it from our business number. So then we as the broker would file the voluntary to voluntarily account for the goods under the correct business number and then provide that transaction. So then your broker or yourself could go in and file a withdrawal to remove
it from and upload the document, like the voluntary document.
So, okay, thank you so much. Use either the document itself, or you can use the transaction number as the proof. So if they're not willing to give the document because it is private, you can at least give the transaction.
It is very frustrating though, Amanda, when I think of that, because so Sarah explained the way, in my opinion, the longer way, but it works.
Yes.
But your original comment seems it seems insane to me, because, but that okay. So I'm glad you didn't take offense to that, because why on earth would I, for a broker that's made a mistake, give them access in order to do a transition that isn't related to just a single account? It's related to my account. But that is how the system is designed right now. We imagine it will improve in the future. But your question was a very good question, and thank you for being understanding and hearing both parts of that dialogue.
Yeah, and unfortunately, no matter how much we have argued that the importer should have the right to be able to approve it, like if you were supposed to be the correct importer, why does it have to be CBSA saying yes or no? You should have that right. But
right.
Yeah.
Do we have other questions, Maria?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. Yes.
And by the way, this group you're our best group so far, because Others have just typed questions in, and we've for us getting live voices, we're going to send out gifts. This is great.
They're not
It
as
creates
shy
more
today.
dialogue, right? It's a lot easier to make sure we understand the question and can support. So definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, we're going to jump into the Q&A section here, and we're going to ask, can UPS, FedEx, GHY still clear customs and pay duty for us per usual? How do you do this? If the answer is yes, do we need to have a bond for RPP?
So the answer is yes and yes. So, well, okay, you don't necessarily need a bond, you need security. A bond is likely going to be the choice that everybody defaults to. So you do need to have posted security, whether that be cash or a bond, likely a bond as far as a written security agreement in RPP. In regards to payment, the issue with that, and I certainly can speak for GHY, and I mentioned in an earlier call, I'm aware of UPS, I'm unaware of FedEx. If your choice is to pay us instead of paying the government direct, and that's always been your choice, we or they will receive money, and we or they will remit the money relating to your account, but it will, as happened before, be applied to your account. So if we receive money before FedEx receives money, when we put that money on your account, it will pay your oldest debt, which could be a FedEx debt or it could be a UPS debt. But it is just paying the debt to your account.
And I want to point out just on top of that, you only need one bond. So you don't need a bond per service provider. You just need a bond that covers all. So when you go into that financial security information where it tells you how much you need to post, that covers all your imports, no matter who that service provider may be. And you do not require it day one of CARM. So you do have 180 days to work with your service provider or to work directly with a surety company to obtain that bond.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your question. Okay, we've got one from Sandra. FedEx clears under their own importer number on U.S. entries anyways, assuming they do on imports into Canada. They have told us that they will bill us to act as the IOR, importer of record. So back to the last question, we have to give them access to as well, right?
So they would need to be, you would have to provide a business relationship with them. So again, like Al said, if you're not wanting to give them the full access, you can still give them that program manager access, and you only check the one visible box if that's what you're feeling you want is the minimum. It just depends on what type of access. But if they are using your business number for the actual clearance of goods for them to final account under your business number, they do need that delegation of authorization.
Perfect. Thank you. One from Jennifer here. Hello, I'm having issues reconciling my October SOA statement of account payment. Are there accounting dates in the October 31st SOA payment from September 25th through to October 24th?
Couple possibilities here for sure. So you have
First off, Jennifer, before Sarah goes deeper, you're not alone.
Yeah. This is a very common issue, and you have to keep in mind you've got in the middle of a month, one system shut down and another system came up. So there were issues with the posting of the SOA with CBSA, as well as depending on your broker, how they've been able to address the declaration of your goods. So as Al said at the beginning, we haven't submitted everything because we know of issues that will negatively impact our importers. So something where you shouldn't be paying duty, we're not finalizing until CBSA corrects their system. So your SOA and what you're being told you may owe may also not match. It is probably going to be a lot of work to really work out the reconciliation until CARM has calmed down and what you're seeing is your regular imports, as well as that SOA is the correct SOA. So you are not alone. If you are a client of ours, by all means, reach out to us. We can see what we can do to support, but it may very well be waiting until November and seeing what that SOA.
Or it could be, and I'm just looking right now at the Canadian Society of Customs Brokers. They've got a listing of open issues. And the issues do range from like being able to have their enough on all of the information for the statement of account to, even the release prior to payment financial security requirements. They're being shown in the CARM portal as incorrect. We do know lots are correct, but we also know several incorrect, and CBSA has acknowledged this, saying the root cause of the issue has been identified and a fix is being worked on because they recognize it as an urgent issue. So as Sarah started talking about earlier on, CBSA is in flux in this regard. This is a transition period. Happy to assist you on a specific issue if you're an account of ours, or provide you access to CBSA's help desk as to reporting issues, because we're all working in a similar environment there.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take one from the Q&A section here, and then we'll jump over into the chat. So Lori asks for CLVS shipments if we no longer allow SEMA under our account, seeing as there are still issues with the amounts. How do we kick this back? Aren't the goods already delivered in most CLVS?
I would say yes, definitely, right? Your CLVS is already delivered, and I'm sure you've received your goods. I would think the best solution there would be to work with your broker, so us, for those to validate whether the SEMA is applicable or not. But you're not going to be able to stop something that's already here. If you chose to return the goods, then we could definitely work through that. I don't know if that is at all.
I think it does. I think what Lori's pointed out, and it's certainly there's various things that are out of control with CARM. This is one of them. Like what Lori seems to be asking is, well, what control is there to release if you know that there's issues with how reporting is taking place? And yet here we are receiving goods because there's certain types of channels that just do automatically release, such as the CLVS. And
well, they've chosen not to import goods with SEMA. So
okay.
The CLVS department is tough. I can try and brainstorm that one offline after as to how you would in the future. In regards to goods that have already come in and how the calculation is inaccurate, it's part of what we are holding for final accounting. CLVS isn't even currently on our radar for accounting. We're concentrating on the high value shipments and making sure those are properly declared. So when obviously some things may be put through for testing, things like that, but overall we are holding anything with a SEMA calculation until CBSA rectifies that.
Thank you. We'll grab one from Ray here. What can GHY do if I cannot set up my CARM account, but I have pending shipments? I cannot set up my account with CARM because my info isn't matching and I'm not getting anywhere with the CARM team.
So the biggest thing with your CARM account, and if you're having issues with registering, is that there are a couple requirements that you must supply or present to CBSA to be registered. So their system is connected with CRA, and that information it's important that those match. If you're having issues and you're not able to, then logging a ticket is going to be probably your best action right now, because calling the hotline has been a little bit difficult. A lot of people have said they are receiving dropped calls, or they're just on the line for several hours and not getting through. So if you go into Maria can provide the link after. If you go into their ticket center, you just put in all your information. You not automatically, within 5 minutes, you receive an email with your ticket number, and then in order, they will work with you. Now, I just want to point out, keep in mind, I'm hoping in this situation you're already an importer and you already have an RM, because as long as those two situations are occurring, depending on your broker, your goods should still be getting released. So we are still clearing our clients' goods, even if we're still struggling with that CARM registration. You can't final account for the goods, but we can still get your goods across that border. So it's important to know that. I would work with, so I don't know just off the top here based off that if we are your broker. If we are and if you're struggling on your own, we can try and help you. Trust me, we are struggling to get people on, but we're working as diligently as possible to get everybody on that portal.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for your question, Ray. Okay, we'll jump up here to Debbie again. How many BAMs can my biz have, and what is the process?
First, as many as you want. And second, we can send like a video web link as to how to go about setting that up. Oh, thanks, Maria. Or Maria can just pull it up. She's very...
Yeah, we've got...
I don't know how you find them so fast, but great.
She puts them all up there. She better know where they are.
Yeah, I've got them.
So like each one of these video links, in addition to information that's on that CBSA has how to do the process, each one of these is less than 2 minutes. So if you've got somebody that they go on and they get a GC key, they have to do that first because you do need a key in order to get onto the portal. Then just click any one of these videos and it gives you a 2-minute step-by-step as to how to go about setting up your business account managers within your business.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll send out a couple links to these guide pages on CARM that we have set up with the follow-up email after the webinar. Okay, we'll go to the next one here. How is...
drop down? Sorry, I think we missed Melissa's question. It should be a pretty quick one. I can kind of address there. Will I be able to identify CAD corrections in the CARM portal? So it's a great question. So now when we say corrections, we have to keep in mind there's corrections and there's adjustments. It's not necessarily going to be easy to tell which one's which, but it really shouldn't matter. So how to tell that amendment has done on your entry is really what you're going to want to be looking for. And the way you would identify it is anything that is a version 2+ would be some form of a adjustment to your original CAD. And when you go through your list of CAD submitted and you scroll over, you'll be able to see your versions.
So quickly, to answer that question, I know you and I had talked about that before. I know that you guys are making the statement that some things based on glitches in the system that you're not submitted yet. Do you know if you're submitting CAD adjustments or corrections now?
Not overly, because right now we're working through the actual entries. We've done more of it as a training guide than anything at this time. If you have one in particular you think has been done, send it to me and I can take a look, but not off of your account that I can think of at this time.
I don't think so. I know that there are some that I've requested corrections that are pending, and that may be the case because there are glitches. Okay.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that that we have that correct data before. So there's probably going to be some that are posted once we clarify and clean up and anything that we did test that we disagreed with. So we'll definitely be working through that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, for your question. Okay, we're just going to jump back up to an outstanding one here. How is the RMD correction for the incorrect importer of record processed by a customs broker in CARM?
The RMD process, RMD corrector process is the same. That is still prior to final accounting. So that process remains the same. And then previously I was answering someone else's question on a business number change. That's what the process would be after the goods have been released and accounted for.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, we're gonna go over into the Q&A section here because there are still some coming through. We'll keep pushing through and try and get all of your questions answered here. So let's see, I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom. We have this all of the time. We get billed under our importer of record number from UPS or FedEx and have to go back for credit on invoices, but they never want to go back and fix the entry.
Very good. Okay. Well, this is actually where you may benefit from. UPS may only clear some of your goods, And it's a lot easier for if you provide another broker full access. That's where we're talking about the visibility. If you were to say we're your broker and you provided us visibility to all other transactions, you could ask us to correct on your behalf if they weren't willing to. And we would be able to query it into our system, do the correction, and then you wouldn't even have to worry about arguing with UPS. Different broker, again, you could work with them on that. Technically, they should be correcting anything you ask of them to correct.
No, and so that was a bit of a sales pitch. Way to go. I think it's also important to know, Sandra, within the portal now, which never existed before, you have the ability to actually do it yourself. So you shouldn't have to. Like if you've paid somebody to do work, you'd expect them to complete the work to your liking. But if it's something that is just maybe adjusting a value of a shipment, it is something that now with the portal, you have a direct connection both in being able to file adjustments and or payments through the CARM portal.
I'll point out, just as the compliance person here in my brain, keep in mind that you do want to let your customs broker know. I don't know if you need to tell UPS. I can't say how they operate, but most customs brokers want to know that because how we provide you your final accounting. So the K84 report typically that we would give, it will not provide any of those things that you do through the portal without us knowing ahead of time, so we can query them into our system. And also it's a very exhausting and frustrating process. So you want to make sure you take your time and do it accurately.
So Sandra, happy to unpack that in more depth offline, because as Sarah's alluded to, if we or UPS does something and then you adjust it, we or UPS would have no idea what you adjusted, so couldn't provide any additional support. However, there is ability to work, as Sarah alluded to, on a post-audit basis after the fact, regardless of whom you're dealing with.
Thank you. Okay, we've got one from Doug here. Alan, what is the scuttlebutt on the potential R4? What key features would be added or fixed, such as duty drawback? When do you anticipate it happening, before or after the 180-day transition period?
Well, the only thing I can reasonably intelligently respond to here is that I don't expect any adjustment beyond the 180 days of any material consequence. And the scuttlebutt of what's on potential R4, that is $1 million question that is being asked by various associations right now and trying to posture to reference to CBSA what we believe are priorities as to what they believe are priorities, so that we can better align in supporting the importing community. Last I understood, things are very quiet with CBSA, and not quiet. I don't think it's intentional quiet. I think it's quiet because they're so darn busy trying to make right what isn't working right now. I hope by the end of this month that there's a greater collaboration and engagement with the trade community as a whole, so that potentially, in addition to providing us an understanding of where they are and when they think they're going to be complete, what needs to happen just to fulfill what's happening right now, to listen to issues like what Doug has made reference to. The design of the portal should have been to make things easier and less intrusive on business, and that I would suggest that hasn't been the case. And how industry positions, it's a wait and see. So Doug, nothing before the 180-day transition period, but I'm lacking a crystal ball.
Okay, we've got one from Jingni. Is there a fee from FedEx/GHY for clearing and paying duties for us instead of us doing this over the portal ourselves? Great question.
Great. So as Al had kind of described earlier, we have to keep in mind that we have two separate systems. You've got your system for release and you've got your system for accounting. So you have the ability to log into the client portal and you could account for your goods. However, your broker, FedEx, whoever it may be, unless you want to do this yourself, we'll start with that one, would be as a customs broker, we would release the goods on your behalf. And then if you wanted to go in and do your final accounting, you could, but you would have to go through and start the process from the beginning.
But can I jump
Your
in?
other option would be that you could, if you needed to, do C types. And this is what some people do.
Can I interrupt for a sec? How I'm interpreting her question, or the question being asked, is having to do with the paying of duties. Like the clearing, I think we should just say, look, you need a broker to clear your shipments, unless you're going to, and I think that's what you're saying right now, unless you're going to pay cash at wherever the goods happen to be arriving, and that just seems impractical. So right now, until CBSA comes up with a whole new system, you need a broker to clear shipments. Having to do with paying, that does become a choice. And is there a fee? I can't speak, and we probably shouldn't even be speaking on this, and certainly can't speak for FedEx if there's a fee to pay. I can tell you how GHY has worked in the 123 years that we've worked. If you pay us to pay the government on your behalf, that's what we do. That's there's no fee for us receiving your money to make payment. So I hope that's sufficient for that question, and happy to take that question offline to unpack it in more detail if you wanted to connect with us.
Yeah, and I think it's a combined one, if I understand correctly. So again, you could pay yourself through the portal. You can pay online banking. There are different options out there. So it does depend on how you wish to manage that, but each broker will have their own set of rules on how they would, if you wanted to pay the broker.
Perfect.
That
Okay.
answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We've got one from Alejandra.
I think we're well over time now too, right, Maria?
Yeah,
so if we can
can
take that and wrap it, and then we have other sessions coming up. I think we've got some meetings to attend to as well.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with this one question. Okay, so is CARM exclusively for the payment of duties and taxes on imported goods, or will it be used for any other CBSA programs?
Yes, I mean, that's your main function, right? The portal is an accounting system, but it's also there to support you as an importer. So new companies can actually apply for their importing RM, or if you wanted multiple RMs, you can apply for those through there. So that is one of CBSA's programs. Another CBSA program would be your exporting RM. So if you were to be exporting goods outside of Canada or the US, and you need to apply for an export RM, you can do it there. And there's a couple others, like your duty relief program, you can apply within the portal. So it is providing a little more. And I think, you know, our conversations with CBSA are wrapped around how they can add items to support you as an importer and make it a little more efficient, right? You have this area of communication back and forth through CBSA.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll mark this as the conclusion of our 4th open mic session, with our 5th, of course, and last session for this week happening tomorrow at the same time. We want to thank everyone again for attending and asking such insightful questions. And special thanks to Al and Sarah for sharing their knowledge to help us better understand the recent changes brought about by CARM. So as a reminder, I will follow up with an email sending links to this session's recording and additional CARM resources, specifically also the ones that we talked about today. We're always here to support our clients through this journey of CARM and the responsibilities as importers, ensuring compliance with Canada Customs. So please reach out to us at any point. We're always here to help. Again, thank you for attending. Take care and goodbye.
Have a great day,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.